When you have these moments where you feel connected, and I think most people in their lives at some point feel connected, and are trying to reach out and are trying to be connected to that which is larger than them. My question is, what do they do when they're disappointed? When they feel as though, oh, we had this thing going on, we had this relationship, and now I feel as though I've been forgotten or I've been ignored. And, that this, we were so well, and now I'm dealing with these struggles, and I feel as though you're not listening to me anymore.
You're talking about God now?
Yeah, I'm talking about God. I'm talking about Hashem. And I think people struggle with this. Something comes about in their life, maybe something terrible. Maybe they just are bored and they don't want to be anymore. And they feel as they say, we had such a good relationship. We were connected, and now I feel as though you're not listening to me. What do people do?
So I do think we have to learn, and this is hard, but this is part of growing up. I'm not saying you're immature and you need to grow up, but it could be true.
It could be true. I have no claims that I am a mature individual.
A lot of people will say that they feel God is there and listening when things are going great, and God has abandoned them when things are going bad.
Yeah.
And the idea of the religious personality is supposed to get to a place where we see everything coming from Hashem, the good, bad, and ugly. And the Talmud says this, Kishem shemevarchin al hatov, kach mevarchin al hara.
Did you just plug a Clint Eastwood film into this?
Was it? I don't know. But we make blessings not only on the good, but God forbid somebody passes away, we make a bracha. We say, Dayana ha'emet, God is, because we believe that everything that happens is somehow orchestrated by God. Now that makes us more angry with God, because how could God allow that to happen? And how's that part of God's plan?
Yeah.
But every situation, the good and the not so good, okay, I'm being a little more euphemistic, is really there to develop us in some kind of way. So that's something we have to work on not seeing bad things as an expression of God's abandonment. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. When my mother got sick and passed away, I was angry and I felt distant from Hashem.
What did you do?
Well, I stayed the course because I had really good teachers and role models who helped keep me in the game. And keeping me in the game meant not losing my faith and maintaining my relationship and continuing to daven and continuing to learn. And I was a rabbi already. And that really helped me see that as another opportunity for growth. I would never tell somebody, if they're going through what I went through at that time, or anybody's negative, this is a great opportunity for you to grow. Okay? This is so perfect for you. This disease, God forbid. You never say that to the person, but theologically, spiritually, that's what we believe it's there for. The Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, wrote this, that every person's life predicament is their challenge that is being given to them to get to the next place. By the way, he says this, he gives us examples. He says a poor person is tested to see whether or not they can become satisfied with the little they have. A rich person, he said, is also tested to see whether or not they become indifferent to the plight of the poor. There's no such thing as anything that happens to us in life that isn't there for us to somehow grow from. So it's easier said than done, but I think that should be the goal.
So what did they say to you when you were going through this with your mother?
They were just there for me.
So they were present.
They were just present, just like a good friend or a therapist is not going to say, this is happening for this reason, you need to do this because of that. You don't do that.
So there was no judgment on the anger that you were feeling?
No, not at all. Not at all. And I would never, look down on someone or tell someone any negative because they got angry with God. If you get angry with God when something goes wrong, that means you have a relationship with God. The problem is if you have no feelings, that's an issue. Then that shows that there's a problem. If you get angry, that means you have a relationship. You get angry with friends, you get angry with people you love. So I think that's actually a very natural, positive reaction. But in order to stay in the game intellectually, to see like that life isn't just, the holiday of Purim is coming up, of Pur, of just like stuff just happening. It's random. That's unfortunately that if you can't start seeing some meaning, I'm not saying you understand why it's happening, because I don't pretend to be able to know that. Rav Soloveitchik said, to ask why something bad is happening to someone is an exercise in futility. What we should ask is what? What do I do with the situation? How do I grow from it? How do I incorporate it into my life so it becomes a growth experience, opportunity? That's what we're trying to do.
How do you carry it, and how to and not ignore it? How do you carry it with you?
How do you carry? Number one, you have to cope. So first of all, you just need coping mechanisms. That's because you don't want it to destroy you, God forbid. You don't want it to just put you so back you just can't deal with reality because it's so devastating. That happens to people. So coping mechanisms, and that's why you need friends. You need people who love you, who are not judging your feelings and are just there with you. It says this in the prophets, Imo anochi b'tzara, I'm with you in your pain. You need to feel that someone else, and that's why it was helpful to me when I met other people who lost parents or that. I was able to be that for Jill when she lost her parents because I'd been through that, so that was helpful to her. So that's A. B.
So you were able to, when someone else doesn't have the strength within themselves, in this regard, you were able to carry a certain level of strength for them.
That's what, you lean on. That's what it means to lean on somebody. Like, I don't have the capability right now. I need somebody else. Like, I literally can't walk. So you put your arm around and they will help you walk. You can't do it yourself.
Which is why somebody would have a rabbi in the first place.
A rabbi, a teacher, a mentor, 100%.
Community.
A community. That's the other problem, is that not enough of us belong to a community. Whatever problem you're going through needs to matter to other people.
I mean, this is why.
In order for us to feel that love and that support. But I want to get to the second phase. The second phase is what, after you cope, you make meaning and sense out of it. Because then if you can't do that, then you lose hope. Famous story, Viktor Frankl, who was in the concentration camps. And his bunkmate had this reoccurring dream that they were going to be liberated on a certain night, a certain day. And the day came and it went, no liberation. He died in his sleep. Now, Frankl wrote that ostensibly he died of typhus, which is something that a lot of Jews succumb to in the camps. But he believed that just like you and I need oxygen to breathe, we need purpose and meaning. Life cannot be seen as Purim, as random. We can't survive that way. That's why there's so much depression in the world, I believe. There's less depression amongst people who believe in something greater than themselves, who believe that they're part of something bigger, that there's a plan, even if I don't understand the plan. And I don't get why God threw me this curveball right now. Right. But I know that curveball is part of some bigger plan. That allows me to stay in the game. All right, I may need some psychological coping mechanisms, but it allows me to truly understand that this was somehow necessary for my continued spiritual growth. Right. And if you have that belief, that can carry you through a lot.